What's up, guys? In this episode, we're going to talk about digital versus heads, two heads, solid state heads.
I don't know. I think digital is a thing of its own. I think at this point, it needs to be spoken about like its own. You're trying to compete with an amp. This is probably should be part of the expression, not the intro.
Stay tuned. What is up, you guys? It's your boy Louie Torres and
truck driver Shawn, the guy that doesn't know how to do Lewis's videos.
And we're actually going to talk about, right? I guess more of the digital platform versus tubes, or maybe their differences. So, tell me about your head rush. What MX?
I have an MX-5 that I'm testing out in my 18-wheeler.
How do you like it?
For a $400 piece of gear, it is fucking impressive. Like, beyond impressive.
What are you playing it out? Or you're not using a cabinet?
No, I use a 2-notes cab M.
Into?
My cell phone.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
To capture it or to play it out?
To play it out, I use in-ears.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
So just me and my truck. I don't...
Sure. Yeah.
No cabs. Fuck that. I didn't get the room for them anymore.
Oh, wow. Oh, you don't have any cabs?
Nope.
At all? Oh, wow.
Cabless in the truck.
Should he have a cabinet in the truck or no? The problem is that it's not, a house. So there's only you're
if
limited.
I take an actual amp, I do take a cab.
But you had the PV 112 at one point.
I had a Bandit I was testing for a while in the truck. I met the 2-notes guys at Summer NAMM, and they were like surprised, like when you told me everything I needed to get.
Yeah.
I bought a captor.
Oh, good.
It's still in the box. I've never taken it out.
No.
Because I get to.
Yeah.
Of course, they're like, "What are you doing?" So I see this thing called the Cab M that has a preamp built into it and everything. So.
Right there, next to the Poison Noise.
Oh yeah! Hey, look, Lewis has got one.
Yeah.
I love it. It's simple. It's easy. When you update it to the M Plus, which is free, by the way, they don't even charge you nothing for it. It's really phenomenal.
That's cool.
Simple.
Good.
It's easy. I'm an idiot. Simple, easy, good.
So I have the Kemper Stage, and I wanted it so I can start profiling all of these amps. Dude, I've never profiled still in my entire life. I still have it, still haven't profiled with it, and but I love that thing just because it, I can duplicate any amp. But then the funny thing is, lately I've been hearing, what's the new one? The Quad Cortex.
The Cortex.
So, I guess it's kind of like hit or miss, right? Because it's the newest thing, it's the latest in technology, but the biggest complaint that I hear is that there aren't enough cabinets available in there, because everyone wanted the whole neural, digital packages that you can buy, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess that helped fund the Quad Cortex. So
yes and no.
So they couldn't go ahead and say, hey, we're going to have, let's say the Fortin package now installed in the Quad Cortex, because now they're limiting their ability to make revenue on the actual.
Yeah. Well, the thing that people were actually upset about wasn't the fact that it didn't come with it. It was the fact that they bought it for the computer, but wasn't able to put it from the computer
onto their
Cortex.
Oh, no kidding.
So
they can't. There's no way
to stop calling it the Cortex. It's just too funny.
Yeah.
It's a problem that we just need to tampon.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But that's that problem. So you get the Quad Cortex. I had to actually think it up in my head to make sure I said it right. Their misstep was things you already purchased are insignificant to it. And the price that they want for it literally is $200 above the next highest competitor. So
yeah,
right now, if you look at the price of stuff, you have Kemper, Fractal, Quad Cortex, Cortex. I keep wanting to say Cortex. Cortex. Jesus Christ, and the neural stuff. I personally, when I use digital platforms on my computer to record music, everything I use is the neural DSP.
It is.
The stuff is fantastic.
Sure. And everyone raves about it, so
it's really good. I mean, is it like having the amp in your house? No. Nothing ever
we'll get to that.
will ever sound like this. These are faulty. The digital stuff is perfect. And it's the faults that give the amps character. That's the thing that people, I shouldn't say people, I'm not going to pick on the millennials, but when you start talking, is digital as good or better as an actual tube amp? Can you gig with a Kemper? Yes. Is anyone going to give a shit? No. But if you're in a studio, a controlled environment, that Kemper will not ever sound as good as dragging that head in and recording. That Kemper will never push air in the room. You know what I'm talking about. You got some very nice heads. Like when you play your Bogner, you can feel it in your fucking bones.
So here's the one thing. Okay, so yes, and I totally agree with you because I have the Kemper stage and the Headrush pedal board. But when you're recording, the end result or the goal is the actual final recording, and how does that sound? So if you're in a studio and you're feeling the woofers and the feel of the amp, does it really matter?
Yes.
If the end result, you think that it matters?
It does. Case in point.
Or is it part of the experience, and that's why it matters?
As a listener, like, case in point, I have a friend of mine who recently recorded an album and recorded the song using all digital instruments. That's Superior Drummer.
Oh,
and
sure.
Used his Kemper for the guitars and for the bass. All digital. And then he himself recorded with all live instruments. You listen to both those recordings, recorded on the same day, in the same studio, with this, granted there's no mics for the digital stuff.
Sure.
So, of course, you got mic interference as well. But the imperfections is actually what gives stuff character. Let's take an album that technically has really shitty guitar tone, but would those songs have been good without the guitar tone? Like Ride the Lightning by Metallica. Some of the worst metal guitar tones on the planet. It's scratchy. It's like, it's like, son of a bitch. And then you hear what happens when they get a little extra money, have a little bit better recording, go to a better studio with better amps, you hear Master of Puppets. Two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
And then you go and you listen to some of these modern bands where no matter which one they are, whatever song hits the radio or comes across your YouTube, you can't tell who it is anymore because they all sound exactly alike. There's no character.
Is it because the drumming is digital? Because
guitars, everything.
You can hear the difference when there's I feel like if the guitars are digital, and by digital I mean coming out of a Kemper or a Fractal XFX, that I think is always on point. I think the issue, and this is just for me, is, and I've watched just this on YouTube videos, is when you compare a real live drummer versus the same drumming but digitally through using Superior. I think that is just night and day.
Oh yeah, the guitar is too, so you don't have no character.
But I feel like if I were to plug in using a PV5150 and use the PV5150 in my Kemper, they're on point.
No, that's not perfect.
Sure.
Is.
Yeah.
So when you're listening to it, there's no character. That's the only word I can think of to use. The Kemper doesn't have
capture
character.
that. Yeah.
Doesn't have a soul. It has a noise that you can plug a coffee can with a pickup into it.
It's a file. It's just a file telling it this is what you should sound like.
Yeah. But you get that real 6505, and on Tuesday it's going to sound this way. On Wednesday you didn't touch a damn thing. You plug into it, it sounds another whole way.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it has a character.
Yeah.
Part of it is how you're touching the instrument interacts with the head, where This doesn't matter if you're playing it or I'm playing it. We sound the same.
So I want to say, is it?
It's the
I know,
algorithm.
I know Ghost are all digital now.
Almost every touring band is all
Right,
digital.
Metallica I know is. What are they running? Are they on XFX?
Yep.
Right. Okay, I thought I had just read that. So what do you think about those touring bands that are just strictly using their? You know, here's Kirk Hammett with his own signature Randall model, who is now, or probably doesn't have it anymore because I don't think.
Yeah, he's
you
not
know,
playing Randall's.
But you know, here he is, and he's just shifted completely to digital. Aside from it being easier to travel around with, but
in the studio, that's the problem. Like, he had this Randall head, and in the studio, he's still using that 92 dual rectifier that he has.
Yeah.
And James is, he's always had rectifiers on stage, but he's always recorded with an old ass diesel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that because the other day I remember seeing Metallica. I don't know. I guess they just recently played a show somewhere, like a small.
Oh, they've been doing pop-up shows like
is
that.
these
These weird little bars and stuff.
Yeah. So I watched it, and it was just rectifiers in the background. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't know that. You know, I guess if they're local, and I think the one show that they had played in was in San Francisco, and they had, you know, all of these recto amps back there. Because do they all live in San Francisco except James? He lives
lives in Colorado.
Colorado, right? Yeah.
And I don't think Robert Trujillo lives there either. I think Robert Trujillo lives down in
LA?
San Diego.
Oh, okay, in San Diego.
I think he's a San Diego guy. I'm not positive though,
Yeah.
but those guys there, I think it just depends on what they want to take. Have you ever seen the pictures from Metallica headquarters? They literally have one of everything that's ever been built.
They would too, right?
But really, at the end of the day, when you're playing in a live environment, you got people yelling, screaming, things are bouncing off walls that aren't normally in your area. So it doesn't matter if you're digital or tube in a live environment, because it sounds. You know, what's the biggest problem that people have using live amps when they tour is
Tubes
the first
coming
two
loose?
songs that they play, they're dialing their shit in for that particular space. Especially if it's the opening band. Like, the headlining band might have done like a huge ass sound check or something
earlier in the day. Yeah, yeah.
And then they told the opening band, like, if you touch any chords, trip over anything, you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
We finally got those whiny bitches to fucking be happy with their sound. But what you can do with a Kemper, and I think Matt Heafy recently said it, why he loves using the Kemper, and he's even using it in the studio, which I think is sacrilege. But none for nothing, they sound good in the studio, so who gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
Which defies my argument. When they go play live, he says it's nice that the whole entire rack for bass and guitars is in one little box. Roll in, roll out. It sounds the same no matter where you are.
And you don't have to lug around a ton of gear like everyone used to.
And they have one tech taking care of all of them now, instead of having to have a tech for everybody. It saves money. It's easier when you're playing live at that volume. No one can tell the difference. So this is an argument for everything. Do I think that digital's bad? No. Do I think tubes are going to be way of the past? Like, people have to start hunting tubes and stuff down? Yeah, I do.
You think?
I think that tube making companies, especially they proved during Rona, can't keep up with any kind of indifference.
Sure.
So the more we use our heads, the more we beat up our tubes. Tubes go, more tube companies get out of business. It becomes harder to get tubes. Well, if tubes get too hard to get, musicians or anything,
right?
Super fickle and whiny.
I want to say there was an article a few weeks ago where they were saying that there is going to be a shortage of tubes.
There already is.
Oh, there is already. Yeah, I was
when
just
the tube doctor doesn't have 6L6s, that's a shortage.
That's a production issue too, though. That's just like, hey, we had to lay off half of our plant because of COVID.
Well, so Tunstall completely closed down. They haven't opened up their doors in 7 months.
Oh, really? Oof.
It's been extremely tough, and of course a lot of that stuff comes out of China,
out
of third world countries that aren't allowed to ship. So what do?
Right.
You know,
you go digital.
Well, for what you do here and what I do at home, what I'm obviously doing in the truck, like when I use the Cab M, sometimes I use it at home. I'm not mic'd up to a
okay,
cabinet.
you do. Yeah.
And
Do you have a monitor, a powered monitor like those?
I do. I just don't know how to hook the thing up. So it's fucking stupid as shit.
So run it out and just right into the back, turn it on, and that's it. So I've actually, so these two head rushes, although I use this one to play back our video, for the most part, when I use my Kemper, I run one cable to the back of that one and one to the back here. So I'm basically playing in stereo, and I'm in Louie Square Garden, just chilling by myself. Or if I'm upstairs, sometimes I'll actually grab my Kemper and I'll just grab one of my powered monitors and I'll just chill in the living room and just jam. So yeah, so it's kind of fun. Not really.
That's why I just use the in-ears.
You need to move to New York so that way we can start the Davis Torres band, metal band, Christian band. No, I'm joking. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, it'd be different.
Would it?
It'd be aggressive, and Christians would not like us. It'd be kind of pointless.
There were some old, really good Christian bands back in the early 90s.
Yeah, it was acceptable back then, though.
Yeah.
Now everybody's cancel culture and
Sure. They're terrible. Guys, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the absolute best. Huge shout out to truck driver Shawn. And click on the links below. We will put a ton of links on there. That way you guys can check out a bunch of videos and a bunch of different companies like Kemper. And who did we not like? Did we like?
We don't dislike anybody. I
Did
don't
we
think.
did we dislike?
The only one we didn't talk about was Line 6, but oddly enough,
yeah.
Line 6 amps,
Yeah.
but it's Helix and stuff. Sorry, it's good.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like everything else. These modelers are not different enough from one another
Sure.
to stand on a pedestal and go, "This is the best."
Mm.
Because I'm literally using an MX5 by Headrush, which is $399, and it kills. I should have brought it with me so we could have plugged it in next to that, and I doubt you would see much difference.
And
It's $1,300 less.
I'd pull up my. If you see the case back there, that behind it, that's the case for my Headrush. So the Headrush is back there. So.
But even the Headrush, like that full size
I would want
Headrush, everything that's inside it, it's inside my little one.
No.
For $400.
Really?
Yeah. It's a little compact thing. It's only this big. It's literally.
Oh, dude, that's terrible.
It's literally tiny.
Terrible only because everyone that has this is now. They have it
Well, the
in
guys that
little
have this
package.
have 14 stomp modules.
Sure,
they can
sure,
step on.
yeah.
I have
three.
three.
Oh, okay. Right? I think it's. No, is it three? What do you think it's three?
Yeah, it's three. So I got one up, one down, one back.
Guys, we were wrapping up before this guy started up again. And thank you so much for watching. As usual, we will talk to you soon.
Later, man.